This morning I was looking for something to listen to, which happens a lot for me, of course. But on Fridays, a lot of times I'll remember that new releases are out. And I'm not a guy that follows new music as much as I probably should. It's really helping being involved in this vinyl community, checking out other people's videos, and of course the ease of streaming things online before I decide to place an order for it if I'm going to go that far. Um, all that really helps. And this morning I was looking and I realized that that new Cat Power album is out, and I guess it's been out for I think a week, where she covers Bob Dylan. And I'd read about this before, and I'm a huge fan of Cat Power's covers, especially the last one. I really like Jukebox a lot. I mean, there's just some really magic moments on there, and so I was certainly curious to hear this new Cat Power record where she covers Dylan's Royal Albert Hall concert, which of course was actually done in Manchester, and in its entirety. She covers the whole concert in its entirety. So I'd read about this and I was curious about it. Knew she'd probably do a really good job. I thought the acoustic part would be really good. I think two songs were previewed, and I remember liking the acoustic one, and I don't even know if I listened to much of the second one. But I definitely knew that first half was probably going to be pretty good. The second half is more like where I wondered how she would tackle the more rock material. When Dylan went electric, that half. And I played it this morning, and it was one of those records where I just kind of had to sit back several times and just listen. And I was trying to work and do other things while it was going on, but I found myself just really listening and saw it. Of course, her voice is beautiful. It's very well recorded, but couldn't help thinking, okay, this is from a female's point of view. It's very refreshing to hear her sing it, and like anybody covering material, the phrasing is going to probably be a little bit different. I heard some reviewer saying it's like Gus Van Zant's cover, if you will, remake of Psycho, where it's a note for note thing. Yes and no. I mean, it follows a track listing, and there's even somebody at some point yelling out in the crowd, kind of a Judas type comment. Or I could barely hear it this morning. But it also, though, with the phrasing, and there are key differences. I mean, words pop out, lyrics. Of course, Dylan is a master at songwriting, but lyrics popped in a way to me that maybe they hadn't before. I noticed songs in a different way. They were not 100% faithful renditions in that, especially the second half, which I thought would just be like this, really loud second half rocking out like Dylan did with the Hawks back then. It doesn't do. I think there's a little bit more. There's more room for interpretation. They're giving themselves a little bit more leeway with it. But I found it just a really good experience. I'm probably going to pull the trigger on the record, and it reminded me of an album that you can see behind me, which is Blood on the Tracks by Emma Swift. This song came out about 3 years ago, and I don't think many people know about it. Emma Swift is quite talented. She's got an amazing voice. She's had a couple singles. She had an EP. She's well known as Robin Hitchcock's partner. Especially during the pandemic, they had quite a presence on Facebook. I think they're still actively posting videos and stuff, and it's very fun to watch the two of them interact and play music and play with their cats and all that. This record came out right after, within a month of Bob Dylan's record Rough and Rowdy Ways, during the 2020 early pandemic. And I remember being really impressed that she tackled I Contain Multitudes, because nobody knew that. They must have gotten an advance copy of the record to be able to learn it and record it. But some songs are unexpected. I mean, like doing The Man in Me or Going Going Gone. It opens up with Queen Jane Approximately, I Contain Multitudes, Simple Twist of Fate. It is like really good, like Sunday morning, record, having coffee and just kind of putting on Blonde on the Tracks. But I definitely want to highlight, because I don't think a lot of people know about it, and it's a really good Bob Dylan covers record. And she takes liberties with arrangements and does it in a really cool way. It sustains the mood all the way through, and I absolutely love it and have meant to talk about it for quite a while. And so I'm glad that this new Cat Power Sings Bob Dylan record came out, so I am able to not only talk about that but also highlight Blood on the Tracks by Emma Swift. there's a record behind this one that I want to talk about too, because I think it's probably the only record in my collection where I actively know the date that it came out. And so when that date rolls around a calendar, I'll often remember, oh yeah, that's when I picked up this record. And this record is very meaningful to me in a few different ways. It's resonated over the years in ways that I never thought it would at the time because I was kind of disappointed in it. It also came about at a time in my life when I desperately needed something. I needed this band to put out a record. So this band is R.E.M., who I've talked about before, and the record is Green. Let me back up a little bit. 1 year earlier than this. So this record came out November 8th, 1988. Exactly 1 year before that, I saw R.E.M. for the first time November 8th, 1987. They were still playing relatively small places. Probably if they'd booked the tour after the one I loved broke, they would have played much bigger places, but I happened to get on the train early enough where I could see them in a small place, and it changed the way I looked at music. I'm going to do a countdown of REM records soon and get way more into it, but just a personal story with this. So I, listened to it, or saw them live November 8th, 1987, had all their IRS albums by that point, and this album just really gave me something to look forward to. I had been uprooted, my family uprooted ourselves from Kansas City, and we moved back to this small town in Wisconsin that we had left, but for me personally, it was at the beginning of fifth grade, and we moved back right before my junior year in high school. So you can imagine it's pretty traumatic, actually, looking back. And this is a really small community, really small school. And I came from a big high school that offered a lot of different programs for people interested in the arts and music and all that. And then I'm, into like where it's football and nothing but football. And I could give a shit, So I spent a lot of time driving around, smoking cigarettes, and listening to music. And I could not wait until this album came out. It was the first time I had a new REM record to listen to. I had heard Orange Crush on the radio. Was visiting some friends in Kentucky and heard it. And in like a department store or something. I don't know. Not that weird being a department store. I can't remember where we were. It might have been a record store, but I heard it and I immediately knew it was them without a disc jockey coming on saying anything. It was a radio station, and I loved it, and I grew to really like that song. And that was the only song I had heard. I heard that "Stand" was officially the first single from that album, which kind of doesn't make any sense to me because I kind of remember having the Orange Crush single before I bought the album. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I definitely had heard this album or the single Orange Crush way before I heard the album Green. And when I got it, I was initially a little disappointed. Even the packaging, the way it looks like similar to document type packaging. It almost looked like the word "slight" came to mind. And I wasn't initially crazy about Get Up and Pop Song 89. I loved You Are the Everything. I loved World Leader Pretend. I loved Orange Crush. And I must say, this album just keeps getting better and better. I've talked about it before, so I'll keep it kind of short this time because I am going to revisit REM in depth soon here. But it has been an album that has just grown in stature for me. I love, there's some amazing songs that not a lot of people know that aren't REM fans, like The Wrong Child. And the 11th Untitled song. I mean, The Wrong Child, I think, might be my favorite song off here now. But I love that they're playing around with acoustic instruments for the tracks, mandolin or acoustic guitar. And then you've also got, of course, some rockers, full-blown muscular rock, like they did with Document and Life Search Pageant, and definitely did live with Orange Crush and to some extent Turn You Inside Out. But it's an album I reach for. It's an REM when I'm like, I don't know I kind of feel like playing an REM record. For some reason, the last few years anyway, I tend to reach for Green. So I want to acknowledge that. It was very, very, sometimes it's all you got when you're a kid and you're like, man, November 8th, come on, I want to buy that new REM record. And music is very important at that time, right? If it's your only thing you're kind of latching onto, you don't know anybody, you're in a new city. And I don't know, looking at my younger self, it's, I don't know. I feel sorry for him in some ways, but I'm glad he had music. I'm glad I had music. And that's part of the reason I do this channel. I just love talking about music and sharing my love for it, my appreciation, and all that. And, of course, some of the frustrations, too. But Yeah, thanks. Definitely check out that Cat Power record and give Emma Smith a try. It's a really, really good Dylan covers record. I don't think you'd be disappointed in the least. Thank you, everyone.